Back in the 1980s, there was a severe nursing shortage, and a lot of it had to do with the environment that nurses were experiencing. So, there were shortages in the facilities that nurses were working at, and also there were issues with pay. And then to really add insult to injury, this was really, really tough in the VA facilities. So the VAs were experiencing even more issues than they were in the public sector. A bill was passed that basically afforded physicians who worked in the VA healthcare system with a pay increase, but it didn't include nurses. So this is what really kind of got momentum going with different VA facilities and the nurses in those facilities. One in particular was the Hines VA in Illinois. They happened to have nurses that were taking a course, a management course that was being presented by the chief nurse at that facility. And so based on what they were learning in the course, this chief nurse challenged them to do something about this bill. She saw how upset they were and she challenged them. So that was really the impetus for them to start moving forward and trying to organize. And so what they did is they started reaching out to other VA facilities, and they formed NOVA out of all of this. NOVA exists to advocate for the VA nurse professionally, personally, and legislatively. So not only does NOVA look after the nurses who work in the VA healthcare system, they also look after the veterans that they care for, our nation's heroes. What's really important to note is that in the VA healthcare system, it's like all-encompassing. Veterans are able to get care for mental health issues, for PTSD-related injury. Opioid addiction is a big issue. Suicide prevention is a big issue. So within the VA healthcare system, these things can be addressed. There's a lot of concern if these veterans are seeking help outside the VA healthcare system. There's concern that the providers still need to meet the standards of what is being offered right now in the VA healthcare system. And that's what the nurses want to make sure, that's what they're advocating for when they go and meet with their legislators. They're talking to them specifically about this. They want to make sure that these are the concerns that they have and that they're being heard at that level. And so the representatives, when they're creating bills and when they're enacting these types of laws, that they're making sure that every aspect is being considered. NOVA recently launched a campaign called the I Wear a Mask for America campaign. And the goal of this campaign was to stress the importance of wearing a mask, not only to protect yourself, but to protect the veterans that they care for, their families that they come in contact with. So we reached out, the board of directors sprang into action, and they were the first ones to post pictures. So they all had pictures with their masks on, and then they did a hashtag as to who they're wearing a mask for. Some of them said they're wearing a mask to protect their family. Some said they're wearing a mask to protect our nation's heroes. Some said they're wearing a mask to protect the veterans that they care for. It was really amazing to see the amount of posts that we received with nurses wearing the mask. It was very powerful. I have a special connection to VA nurses, and this goes way back. Let me start with a story about my dad. So my dad was very young. He was about 17 years old. He had to have his mother sign a waiver so that he could join as an officer in the Air Force in World War II. And he was flying back to his base, and his aircraft was hit by anti-aircraft guns. My dad survived, came back, like many veterans of that time, began a career, had a family. He was just enjoying being grandfather. He was enjoying traveling with his wife, my mom. And it just kind of shows you how quickly everything can change. So, he's coming down the stairs, he fell. He hit his head against a closed door, and he became paralyzed from the neck down. He was rushed to a VA hospital, and the care he received there, I can't even begin to tell you. These nurses, they come in, they're cheerful, they're supportive, they're holding your hand, they're crying with you, they're helping you navigate this crazy world that now has turned your life upside down. I just remember my mom would drive every single day to see him, but the nurses were there. They spent time with him at night. They became his family, essentially. You know, when she wasn't there, we knew they were there. We knew they were taking care of him. Here we are, fast forward all these years later, and Nova is now a part of my life. And, you know, little did I know that these were Nova nurses that were taking care of my dad. I didn't know that. So, you know, it's funny how life has ups and downs, and but we could have never done it without these Nova nurses. And I feel that the nurses, what makes them so special is that they truly put the veterans first.